Hello, everyone. Welcome to Counsel India Present, the talk show. In this talk show, you already know that we invite one of the guests who is actually creating the difference in people's life by working in this field of psychology. So today, in this podcast, we have a special guest with us, Professor Ritu. We would like to welcome Professor Ritu on our podcast. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bobby. And it's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be part of your journey and having me here. Thank you.
Great, fantastic, awesome. So, Professor Ritu, before we move ahead with the questions, I would like to ask you to please tell your own story in your own words, like why you are in this field and how you got there. And what, I mean, there are very few people who choose psychology, right? So, how you end up to psychology? Yes.
बिल्कुल सही कहा. You just nailed the idea and this thought. So for me, I honestly had no idea what I wanted to become. Right? It's your parents who tell you and decide the career aspiration for you. Hopefully now things are changing. Right?
Mhm.
In my time, it's like the parents are living their dreams through their children. Okay. So
Mhm.
standard was कि ये IAS बनेगी, or she'll go into banking, or she'll do a MBA. But for me, I think I started studying psychology as a subject in class 11th, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh,
right?
fantastic. Yeah.
And I come from a very small town called Lucknow, okay,
Okay.
and it's
Mhm.
it's the town of the Nawabs, so as to speak.
Yes.
So I think that was the trigger point for me. That was my journey.
Hmm.
The teacher was fantastic. I could connect with her, and now because I myself am teaching in a university, I realize that, and obviously because I'm studied psychology, teachers, the significant others, who role model ban jate hain aapke liye, right?
Right.
And
Right.
if they give you positive reinforcement, and if they encourage you, and if you build a connection with them, you actually start behaving in some ways in like them, right? You start mimicking them. So
Right.
the connection that I had with my teacher, I could feel I wasn't threatened. I wasn't threatened. I never thought it as a subject. So
Hmm.
that is when my journey started, and ever since then there was no looking back.
Hmm.
However, जब मैंने masters किया, my mother still wanted me to be an IS officer. She still wanted me to give some competitive examination. But I think masters was the time when I crystallized in my mind that I love, because human beings fascinate me. वो कैसे
Hmm.
सोच रहा है, why is he thinking, what is he thinking, that really fascinated me. And of course, by this time I had studied human behavior, right, from physiology to personality and blah 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 blah. So
Hmm.
I think that is when and masters ke baad, of course, the natural culmination was to do your PhD.
Hmm. Right.
So, and I think that's how my journey started, really. That one little good teacher who I could connect with, I think that was, and of course the subject by default, yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Awesome. So, beautiful journey. So, I also want to know that you are in the teaching profession, right? So, you are right now in the NIT University, NIIT
Yes.
University in Imrana. So,
Yes.
before that, where you have worked, what kind of people you have worked with, what kind of help you have provided till now to the people. So, we'd like to know more about it too.
Okay. So my trajectory was never very linear. All right. And it's like life is a flow. So I also went with the flow. I came to Delhi. I worked with a lot of autonomous institutions like NCRT
Mm-hmm.
as a research fellow. So मैं education में मैंने, I started working the line of education, because
Mm-hmm.
psychology. Okay, I did a course in NCRT as a counselor in educational vocational guidance. तो
Mm-hmm.
आपका NCRT ये provide करता है. Now of course new institutes are also providing, but there was no special because I'd already done my master PhD. Um, जब मुझे job मिला तो मुझे education line में मिला. Okay, I of course either you become a counselor in a school. So my aspiration was that I wanted to get as much of knowledge and information as I could. So I worked in these organizations. I also worked in a clinical hospital for 6 months, Bobby. Okay,
Okay, great, great.
and um I realized after 6 months down the line that it was you need nerves of steel to deal with patients,
Mm.
right? ये जो movies में दिखाते हैं कि people are in the asylum and they are like disheveled hair and all of that, वो normal life में नहीं होता है. So you're meeting very so-called normal people,
Right, right. Hmm.
and you don't understand what is going inside them. So that was very, very unnerving for me. So I wanted to be a clinical psychologist, but I realized that I don't have the nerve for it. So then I
Hmm.
hopped back into education. I worked with NIIT Limited. It's a corporate
Okay. Yes.
in research, and I did a lot of research with children and adolescents.
Mm-hmm.
तो रिसर्च में जब मैंने काम किया, मैंने बच्चों के साथ, adolescent के साथ काम किया, and of course what you call adults. So andragogy and pedagogy were
Mm-hmm.
the two areas in which I did research.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to I was, of course, I did a little stint as a teacher also. And in my life, I've counseled people because I think that's what your DNA is, right? If anybody comes and reaches out to you, informally,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of try solving, or guiding them or nudging them in the right direction. And then, of course, I came to an IIT university. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the corporate thing, the teaching thing, and you are creating the impact through your teaching skills, basically. So, thank you so much for that. Ritumam, we would like to know, have you ever dealt with any kind of difficult case where you find that it is being difficult to counsel and then you proceed further and it was a big success for you? Any case you remember like that?
तो एक मैंने आपको बताया कि दिस जब मैं एक लेडी को मैं डील कर रही थी,
Hmm.
एंड सो वी से न्यूरोटिक्स मेक कासल्स इन द एयर एंड
Hmm.
साइकोटिक्स लिव इन देम. हम सब न्यूरोटिक हैं, वी ऑल हैव अ किंग. हम सब में किंग है, ओके. और अगर
Hmm.
वो मैग्नीफाई हो जाए और हमें मालूम ही ना चले, दैट इज वेरी वेरी, दैट्स वेरी डेंजरस, राइट? सो आई व्हेन आई वाज वर्किंग इन दिस क्लिनिकल हॉस्पिटल,
Hmm.
एक लेडी आई एंड शी वाज जस्ट लाइक यू एंड मी. आई मीन इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैच्योरिटी, हर ड्रेस सेंस, बिल्कुल ही सॉर्टेड मैच्योर लेडी, ओके. So she walked into this space of mine, its room, and I do not know if you've seen a serial called Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer एक serial killer है. Netflix पर अगर आप देखेंगे, you'll get goosebumps. All right.
Okay.
So very sorted guy, and he kills people, and then he says that he's eating the brain of a guy that he really loved. He said मुझे इतना प्यार हो गया था इस बंदे से कि मैंने इसका
Hmm.
brain खाना start कर दिया. So similar manner, similar cases when I dealt with was this
Hmm.
lady walks in, and the conversation I had with her, Bobby, was I couldn't
Hmm.
believe it.
Okay.
तो मैंने सोचा कि my husband will, he called me up and he said कि he'll cut me into pieces,
Hmm.
and then I realized that वो train तो भी आती नहीं है, तो he
Hmm.
can't cut me into pieces because he's not going to reach on time to cut me into
Hmm.
pieces.
Hmm.
And therefore I slept off, and when I woke up in the morning, I found myself on the street.
Hmm.
Bobby, I was like, I think I heard it wrong. मैंने कुछ गलत सुना. I'll cut
Hmm.
you into pieces. She's talking as though मतलब वो कपड़ा होगा, उसने pieces में
Hmm.
काट दिया.
Hmm.
So, and you have to obviously have a poker expression when you're dealing with such people, right? Because you
Right.
can't be judgmental. और face से बहुत मालूम चलता है expression से. So I
Right.
think obviously that was one of the most, because I think it was one of the first cases that I was dealing with as a schizophrenic. That lady who at the face of it was absolutely normal and normal conversation. कैसे
Hmm.
हैं आप? How are you? I'm good. I said आपको दिक्कत तो नहीं हुआ? I hope you didn't find difficulty in finding the place. And she said, no,
Hmm.
absolutely fine. I mean, yes, I'm absolutely fine. How are you? And so it was a normal conversation, right?
Okay.
Of course, then we did a test on her, which is a shocking blood test, and
Hmm.
we figured out that she's a highly schizophrenic woman. But
Hmm.
usko, of course, schizophrenia you can't really eliminate. You can kind of contain it. And of
Hmm.
course, medications and all. Chali. So I think that was one of the most scariest, because I was very raw and fresh. Okay.
Hmm.
Coming now to when you're asking me, I deal with students,
Hmm.
and I think every student that I interact with, and not just student, but every individual that I interact with, right? They're very different. अगर
Hmm.
we all are same because we all have similar emotions.
Hmm.
But जब
Right.
हमारी कोई problem होती है, so it's very unique. If there's a challenge, it's very unique. So I think, Bobby, what's important is आज की generation में to talk about, and I quite admire that.
Hmm.
Either they just close down, they will not tell you anything,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You have to be able to build that trust. So I think that for me is a challenge. आप कैसे, and it has to be within a couple of meetings or even one meeting, and that you look at the person looks at you, say, you know what, this is a genuine person.
Hmm.
So that trust is very important. एक बार
Hmm.
वो trust build हो जाता है,
Hmm.
then every individual that you deal with
Hmm.
is a unique individual.
Hmm.
right? It's a unique, I mean, the solutions that you give, you can
Hmm.
suggest, they may seem to be very same, but they're not same, they're similar, because the human being that you're dealing with is very
Right,
different.
right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. And the case you are telling it is really, where I'm creating the images in my mind, like what would have happened there. Okay, so as you said, it is the conversation was very normal, but the kind of uh, the easiness for those pieces was there. Those the conversation that was built up. I want to ask Professor Ritu. These people are around, right?
Yeah.
These people are around. So how this problem begins? How people reach to that level? What are those scenarios, and what happens with them? Because ultimately they are also human, right? They also want to live. They want to be happy. How they turned up this kind of personality?
So Bobby, a brilliant question, a brilliant question. uh, पहले तो we have to understand that जैसे physical pain होता है, right, and you need to go to an expert. Same way, and I think more so when it's a emotional or a mental strain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's pain which
Right.
is not visible. तो हम तो आयरनी ये है कि जो विजिबल होता है, फिजिकल पेन
Mm-hmm.
तो हमें दिखाई देता है, वी गो टू रन टू एन एक्सपर्ट, राइट, एंड एवरीबडी इज विद अस. बट जब हमें कोई इमोशनल और मेंटल पेन होता है विच इज नॉट विजिबल, देन पीपल आर रिलक्टेंट टू से कि भाई एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट साइकाइट्रिस्ट के पास जाओ. तो
Mm-hmm.
अभी भी वो स्टिग्मा अटैच्ड है. ओके, आई थिंक बॉबी होता है ड्यूरिंग योर पेरेंटिंग.
Right. Okay.
Parenting is extremely important because children, broken homes, separation, fighting, abusive language, abusive environment, aggressive environment, this triggers this kind of a behavior, which is a deviate. एक हम सब में वो propensity है. All of us have it. We all feel sad, we all feel pain, we all feel failures. हमारे failures होते हैं. बट बिकॉज हमारा सपोर्ट सिस्टम इतना अच्छा है या हमारी रेजिलियंस इतनी अच्छी होती है दैट वी आर एबल टू बाउंस बैक. सो द एक्चुअल स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ऑफ कोर्स आल्सो एक्चुअली गोज उससे भी पहले. इट इज व्हेन द चाइल्ड इज इन द मदर्स वूम. पुराने जमाने में कहते थे ना, व्हेन द वुमन इज प्रेग्नेंट शी शुड लिसन टू गुड म्यूजिक, भजन,
Right. Right.
अच्छी तस्वीरें. व्हाई? बिकॉज द पर्सनालिटी ऑफ द चाइल्ड स्टार्ट्स
Mm.
गेटिंग बिल्ट ड्यूरिंग द phase when the child is in the mother's womb. अगर mother stress में होगी, the child will get stressed.
Right.
I don't know if you've noticed, but generally the firstborn, again, largely, firstborn is always very anxious as an individual. The secondborn, वो थोड़ा सा resilient हो जाता है, carefree होता है, simply because parents जो होते हैं वो थोड़े से anxious होते हैं जब उनका first born होता है. So that energy gets transferred into the child.
Right.
सेकंड में वो बिंदास हो जाते हैं, दे नो यार अच्छा बच्चा रो रहा है, इट्स ओके, नो बिग डील, राइट? सो again, starting from your mother's womb to your parenting, which is very important because children see that behavior. And of course then your environment, like I said, role models, teachers, peers, all of
Right.
that is very important.
Mm.
Like I said, we are not aware, हमें awareness नहीं होती है कि हमें ये problem है, we negate it. हम उसको ना कहते हैं ना, वो अंडर द कार्पेट. अगर मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम एंजाइटी हो रही है, इफ आई
Mm.
रीच आउट टू माय मदर, शी से अरे तो तुम्हें गैस बन गई होगी. अगर मुझे कोई
Mm.
इमोशनल ट्रॉमा हो रहा है तो शी से अरे तो व्हाई यू थिंकिंग अबाउट इट, तुम सोच क्यों नहीं, देखो सो एंड सो के बच्चे ने कितना अच्छा किया है. सो वी टेंड टू इग्नोर दीज साइंस.
Mm.
वी एज पेरेंट्स, एज इंडिविजुअल्स, एज फ्रेंड्स, एज कोलीग्स, हम ये साइन इग्नोर करते हैं. एंड दैट
Right.
इज व्हाई इफ वी आर नॉट एड्रेसिंग इट,
Mm.
इट्स लाइक अ वुंड. अगर आप उसको टाइमली इंटरवेंशन नहीं करोगे, so obviously it goes bad. Same holds true
Mm.
with my emotional and mental well-being. So we really, as a community, we
Mm.
really have to be cognizant. अगर हम जैसे हम क्लास में जब होते हैं, या if I'm walking also in the corridor, and if I see a student who is his or her body language is very kind of disturbed, or कोई frown है या आंखों में आंसू आ रहे हैं, you reach out to that person. You do not know what the person is going through, and even just holding a hand or just saying, "Are you okay?"
Mm.
That is important.
Right. True. True. So things get started from the childhood. बचपन में ही कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा कोई इमोशनल डिसबैलेंस हुआ होता है जनरली, या फिर आपको पीयर्स की वजह से, या फिर उसी दौरान जहाँ पे वो ग्रो अप कर रहे होते हैं, दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ओनली दिस सम something that is suppressed, something that is unhealed there, and that
Yes.
after a long time it reflects in the personality,
Yes, it
right?
resurfaces. वही कहते हैं ना, it's like a pressure cooker. So you're
Mm.
bottling it up, bottling, and फिर ऐसा जिस दिन वो burst होगा, so it'll hit the ceiling.
Right, right. So being a parent, how, I mean, what to do? How people do not have that kind of, knowledge or education nowadays. Though in the older generation, in the older time, problem was not that much big, right? Because आज के टाइम में बहुत सारी चीजें बदली हुई हैं. हर सेकंड में अटेंशन स्पैन कम हो गया है. चेंज बहुत ज्यादा है. उस चेंज को अडेप्ट करने के लिए माइंड को बहुत मेहनत भी लगती है एंड पीपल आर नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड. तो मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स पहले से तो काफी ज्यादा बढ़ रही हैं, बढ़ती जा रही हैं. पहले इतना ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता था. तो भी आज के टाइम में अगर हम स्टूडेंट की भी बात करें, वर्क विद स्टूडेंट अलॉट, तो एक अच्छा स्टूडेंट और पेरेंटिंग अच्छी होने के लिए किन किन चीजों का स्टार्टिंग से ही हमें ध्यान रखना है. क्योंकि चलो ये बातें बहुत सारी हो रही हैं प्रोफेसर ऋतु की भाई, अभी अवेयरनेस भी बढ़ रही है कि ठीक है पेरेंटिंग अच्छी होनी चाहिए, टीचर्स को एज ए फ्रेंड उनके साथ में बच्चों के साथ में डील करना चाहिए. बट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली, हाउ टू स्टार्ट, व्हाट टू आइडेंटिफाई?
So, like, so yeah, I completely resonate with you, Bobby, that पहले ज़माने में इतना नहीं होता because largely we were living in joint families.
राइट.
So, and competition was not very high, right? Parents यहाँ पर हमारी expectation, unfortunately, like I started off, we as parents want to fulfill our dreams through our dreams through our children. So हम उनको बच्चा नहीं रहने देते हैं. We make them, we want to fast track the whole thing. So I don't think the fault lies in the issue lies in the child. It is in the individual as parents. We are living our dreams. We are pushing our children. So what we need to do is we need to give, and of course technologies come into play. And I think we should be able to embrace technology rather than deny it.
राइट.
So just the fact that you tell your child that fear nahi hona chahiye. So you tell the child mistakes hongi. A lot of sharing has to happen. So I understand that nuclear family hai, parents are working, but the very fact that if they are bringing a child, hum bhi teachers hai, hum faculty, hamara to job hai. But then I can also say, you know what? But it's my job. I'm teaching. I'm a human being. I have so many assignments. So I switch off. You can't do that. You can't switch off, right? At least till the time that individual is capable enough to fly. So the very fact that so if you notice, there will be signals, there will be signs. वो कमरे से बाहर नहीं आ रहा है, for example. वो बच्चा जो है, वो individual जो है खाना नहीं खा रहा है, वो अपनी normal life से थोड़ा सा waver हो रहा है, right?
राइट.
You have, that is the time. So you can't be, if he's asking questions, what I have seen as parents and as faculties do is you shut them up. Are why are you asking? You're such a inquisitive. Why do you have to always ask? Simply because we don't have time. So what are we doing? वो बच्चे अगर curious है, और especially in today's generation, हमारी generation में curiosity तो हम थे ही नहीं because हम fear में जीते थे, right? And I really don't believe in fear because fear will only suppress the human behavior, it not eradicate it. So you have to create an environment which is open, which is conducive. Where you say, अगर आपने mistake की, so I'll give an example. There was one student of mine, and obviously students drink karte hain, which is very normal, right? So if I were there, I would say I would have a maybe in the house also a zone where I say smoking zone. So at least agar aap smoke kar rahe hain, to you know that the child goes and smokes in the smoking zone, rather than saying bacha you can't smoke, because you know that this is inevitable. Agar wo mistake kar raha hai ya mujhe drink karega, to I'd rather he does it under my supervision. If I have to talk about sexuality, agar to mujhe apne bacche ko, I should be open enough to share all this, because the moment things get hidden, child is curious, और आजकल टेक्नोलॉजी है. So what are you doing if you don't find it in your parents? कि मैं अपने मम्मी पापा से नहीं पूछ सकता हूँ, you ask your peers and you experiment it, and that's when you make a mistake.
Right.
This one example I want to give is a student of mine. I said, Acha, to he's doing very well, of course. And I said, so you don't like drinking? And he said, ma'am, no, of course I like drinking. But my father said, the first drink you and I will share. So he said, I'm saving myself for that moment when I will sit with my father and drink. And I think that was the most endearing statement that the boy made.
Awesome. Very nice. Okay, great. So yes, so you're saying that we should be open and we should change with the change, right? And we should identify initially, like, if first of all, if you're not giving time, you will not be able to identify, right? So giving time to the children is very, very important, because from there only you will get to know what is going on, what to stop, what to improve. So giving time, first of all, is very, very important. And second is, having the open conversations about the taboo topics also, on which people generally do not talk about. And Professor Ritu, this is also transition for those parents and the teachers, right? This is also transition for them, that
Yes.
they generally do not get used to about, कि अभी अच्छा बच्चा इतना बड़ा हो गया है, अच्छा ये बात कैसे करेंगे, ये तो कभी करी ही नहीं है अभी। तो आई थिंक इस चीज की भी उनको कोई काउंसलिंग या कोई गाइडेंस उनको नहीं मिलती है,
मैं
राइट?
तो बॉबी आई तो गो वन स्टेप अहेड मैं से अब पेरेंटिंग जो है इफ यू वांट टू बी अ पेरेंट यू शुड गेट अ सर्टिफिकेट am I a parent I cannot because it is I think it's the worst thing that you can do is bring a child and not be ready for it if you don't have you're not doing it because you want to do it it's आप एक एनिमेट ऑब्जेक्ट है नो इनएनिमेट ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं है कि मैंने कपड़ा मैंने खरीदा फिर मन नहीं किया फेंक दिया so you need to have a certificate and say are you mentally emotionally prepared because you're bringing another individual into the life
राइट।
and it's jolly well it's your karma dharma whatever it takes to take care of the child and to give time if you don't have time don't do it
Oh, fantastic. So parenting certificate, nice idea. Professor Ritu ma'am, ये हम start करते हैं to give
बिल्कुल हम
certificate, certified parents.
yeah
Okay, great, great. So, uh, Professor Ritu, I want to understand, like, if there is any another case you would like to discuss with us, whether it is of student or any adult person or whatever you remember, would like to discuss with us.
uh, सो ओके मैं अब मैं हम बिकॉज हम इसकी बात कर रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स की हम आई सी इट आई मीन हैपनिंग इट्स नॉट जस्ट स्टूडेंट्स आई सी इट हैपनिंग रैम्पेंट कि
Hmm.
हाँ एक एक है कि जो आजकल जेंडर के इशू में है इंक्लूसिविटी की बात होती है राइट
Right.
आई वाज वेरी इम्प्रेस्ड बाय द वे इन दिस सीरीज एक सीरियल आया था नेटफ्लिक्स में व्हिच
Hmm.
ऑब्वियसली गोस टू शो दैट आई एम एविड वॉचर ऑफ टीवी ताली राइट
Ali.
वेयर ताली व्हिच इज उसमें
Ali.
इज अ
Okay. Hmm.
ट्रांसजेंडर and how
Hmm.
उसकी journey बताई गई है
Hmm.
and that transgender actually changed the constitution of India because form में होता था girl boy right
Hmm. Yeah.
and that person was कि मैं ना तो I don't relate myself to a girl or a male or a female so
Hmm.
what do you mean I'm not a citizen of India right
Right.
so I have interacted with people all right where they are so they are males or females and they don't feel male or female the the biological aspect of it they feel the other sex and the ridicule that they face
Mm-hmm.
because some I don't know why but we are Bobby we're so हम educated अपने को बुलाते हैं but we are very very judgmental
Right.
as a community as of individuals hum
Hmm.
I mean why so I know a case where this individual where this child was used to feel ridiculed usko कथक सीखना था and उसके but everybody his parents also expected him to behave like how you're a guy तुम कथक कैसे सीखोगे
Hmm.
people क्या कहेंगे what you we're not embracing the person and
Hmm.
any which ways the child is going through a trauma right आप खुद
Yes.
अपने को समझ रहे हो कि भाई I mean I'm a boy but I'm feeling like a female right so
Right.
imagine the emotions that person is going through so forget
Mhm.
about his or her marks or academic or whatever he doesn't feel accepted in his own self or on
Right.
top of that as parents we are I mean there is this fear factor and the fact that you have to align with the norms of the society में norms बने हैं हमें potential निकालने के लिए if the norms are made it's for our betterment
Right.
right so I think we should learn to understand that कोई बच्चा अपनी मर्जी से कोई इंडिविजुअल अपनी मर्जी से ट्रांसजेंडर नहीं बनता है
Hmm.
या बनती है right it's
Right.
because of a biological issue
Hmm.
so rather than kind of underplaying it and also okay I've seen umpteen cases where they are sexually abused
Mm-hmm.
and parents are in denial and you know what happens Bobby when you're
Mm-hmm.
sexually abused and your parents are in denial you start thinking ki shit शायद मैंने ही ऐसे कोई clues दिए होंगे or you
Hmm.
feel that there is something wrong in you and you start getting embarrassed
Hmm.
because you say no how is it possible how can you so this word sex is completely no and wahan se I'm a big fan by the way of Sigmund Freud
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Sigmund Freud. और उस जमाने में just I'm just kind of digressing, but उन जमानों में Victorian era में when he was living and he talked of the sexuality, sex being very important, he used to get cases where there were females who were hysterical. Okay, and then he realized that the genesis was really the sex part of it or the sexual gratification. So I'm not saying that we should promote it, but all I'm saying is we should understand human emotions, we should understand human needs, we should understand diversity, and norms are created or rules and regulations are only made for us to understand and flower better and blossom better. तो जब हम stereotypes बनाने लगते हैं, that is when the problem arises.
कि आप लड़के दिख रहे हो तो आप लड़के ही के ही सारी चीजें करोगे, कुछ भी अलग नहीं होना चाहिए. This is the rule that they have set in their mind.
And interestingly, that boy who was, and I said, when he approached me, I said, "You want music, dance, please." He was such a brilliant dancer. He could outbeat anybody. And then he actually went on to becoming a fashion designer. So I mean, what is your? I mean, you live life. You only live once in that particular form. It's beautiful.
Right. So, Dr. Ritu, you said, Professor Ritu, you said that it's a biological issue. Is it really an issue, or it is a natural phenomenon? Would like to go deeper into it.
So true. So when you talk of the transgender, or you talk of this is basically an aberration that happens. So we are the DNA. So हम कहते हैं ना कि I don't know if you've noticed, but after a certain, so nurture plays a very important, environment plays a very, very big role, phenomenal role, right? But I'm also discovering that the physiology or the genes have a lot to play in it. Genetics, all right, and chromosomes. So आपके जो DNA है, that has to be, I mean, the fact that you're a boy and girl is basically because of XX and XY, the chromosome, right? So DNA में जब आप पैदा होते हो, so it's to do with your DNA, that something has happened where it's an aberration, और उसके कारण जो है आपका biological है ये. It's a biological. It's not, the child also does not know. He may be a male or a female, but uske paas uske jo DNA hai, that is more aligned to the other sex because of the DNA. So genetics, DNA, biology, physiology plays a very, very important role. Hamari height, color of our eyes, all are decided by our DNA, our genes.
Right.
Even to the point of जो आपके स्किज़ोफ्रेनिक्स होते हैं, जो डिप्रेशन, मैनिक डिप्रेसिव होते हैं, जो स्टूडेंट्स और इंडिविजुअल्स डिप्रेशन में ज्यादा जाते हैं. If you see, maybe between you and me, I may be more of a person who's more inclined towards depression, right? That's because of your DNA. Genetics. So genetics has a very big role in this.
Right. Okay. Genetics plays a big role. Also, nurturing also plays, because many times, various psychologists has said this, like they are absolutely genetically perfectly fine, but due to the environment, they have made themselves like this. They have thought enough that now they are behaving just like that.
So see, in this transgender का जो है, वो typically I think it's to do with the genes. Of course, फिर ऐसा भी होता है कि वो but yes, I quite agree that हम टीवी में ऐसा देखते हैं, हमारा role model होता है. So you want to be like this person, or you are attracted to this person, you want to be like that person, and therefore you start mimicking that behavior. So yes, and of course environment plays a humongous role, of course, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And I also remember there's a person in my contact. So he came to me and he said that here's my girl. He's actually a boy, but want to convert himself into the female. Please help, or please उसको ठीक कर दो. उसको ठीक कर दो कि वो जैसा है वैसा ही रहे. Right? Instead of accepting, okay, this is the nature, this is the biological thing, this can be the biological thing, okay, so instead of accepting it, नहीं ये गलत है, ये गलत हो रहा है, इसको ठीक कर दो. Help me do this.
बिल्कुल सही बॉबी, बिकॉज हम लोग सोचते हैं ना वी नो इट ऑल, और हमने जो है, हम सोसाइटी से बहुत डरते हैं. Yes, society is important. Yes, conformity is important. But you have to be also, why are we creating a society, or why are we conforming? We're conforming because, like for example, law and order. ये हमारे benefit के लिए ना. The day that law and order disrupts me as an individual, right? then I should kind of be able to have a revolt, anarchy. ऐसे मुझे नहीं चाहिए ये. So human life, at least for human life,
Hmm.
and every human being is different. Every child, every individual is different.
Hmm.
बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट हो चुके हैं, यहाँ तक हो चुका है that आपके फ्रेटर्नल ट्विन्स और फ्रेटर्नल एग्स आइडेंटिटी वाले जो होते हैं, आपके आइडेंटिकल एग्स होते हैं, जब आपके जब ट्विन्स होते हैं, राइट?
Twins.
सो देयर इज एक दो एग बन जाते हैं, मिच्योर होते हैं, तो वो ट्विन्स बन गए, बट दे आर फ्रेटर्नल. और अगर एक एग स्प्लिट होके हाफ होता है, सो दे आर आइडेंटिकल ट्विन्स. इवन देयर आल्सो पर्सनालिटीज चेंज. इट इज द इन्वायरमेंट. हमने बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए हैं, मंकीज में कर रखा है. एंड अनदर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज, जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, यू हैव टू गिव लॉट ऑफ इमोशनल टच.
Hmm.
जो जो मदर्स या पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चे को embrace नहीं करते, because touch plays a very important role.
Hmm.
So
Right.
if you kind of, you're kind, you don't like that your child is touching you or holding you, or you don't want to hold because you think it's sign of vulnerability, it's a sign of weakness.
Hmm.
तो वो बच्चे जो हैं, उनकी पर्सनालिटीज में थोड़ा सा इशू और चैलेंज होने लगता है. आई थिंक द होल एसेंस इज ऑफ वी स्टार्ट फीलिंग इन्फीरियर. जब हम इन्फीरियर फील करते हैं, तो हम उसको कॉम्पनसेट करने के लिए अपने बिहेवियर को वी स्टार्ट मिमिकिंग एंड वी स्टार्ट बिकमिंग नॉट हु वी आर. इफ वी आर कॉन्फिडेंट, अगर मैं एज अ चाइल्ड कॉन्फिडेंट हूँ, as an individual confident हूँ, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the environment is. I have the ability to we all make mistakes. We all are not perfect, and thank God for it. But जब हमारे confidence होता है,
Hmm.
I'm ready to take any challenge. I will falter, I will fail, I will fall down, but I know I will get up.
Right. And ultimately, every human being, every individual is different. हम भले कितने ही circumstances equal दे दें हम, लेकिन ultimately they are different. They'll end up to the different things because they are different.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So fantastic, Professor Ritu. Now I would like to ask some questions related to thoughts and emotions. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, what do you think? Which one is most important, thought or emotion?
To me, emotion.
To you, emotion. Okay. One daily habit that can change someone's life.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Awesome. What is the one thing people should stop doing immediately for their mental health?
Stop doing criticizing, being critical, critiquing,
Awesome.
reprimanding.
Okay. Great. Therapy in 3 words.
What? Sorry?
Therapy in 3 words.
3 words.
Hmm.
Act. ACT. Act.
Okay. What's your go-to stress buster in between sessions?
Music.
Music.
I am an avid music lover. Rock music, I am like,
Okay. You dance? Do you dance?
oh yes, of course, you bet, you
Yes.
bet.
Okay, great. The most misunderstood mental health condition is.
That it's a stigma. It's a stigma, and it's, yeah, stigma.
Okay. Who do you go to talk to when you need to talk?
I have my best buddy. She's a psychiatrist living in New York, so I
Mhm.
just kind of reach out to her.
Okay, great. And one client's or person's success story that you will never forget. Any person who has thanked you a lot, that you felt blessed that you're in this
I,
profession.
I don't know. I mean, I just feel that when any student reaches out to me and
Hmm.
just touches my hand and says thank you so much, मुझे लगता है कि I'm kind of, I just feel I feel blessed. I feel
Well,
blessed.
well, great. So, what is the one message you want to give to the Indian households to hear about the mental health?
That, like I said, it's mental health is just like any physical health. In fact, physical health में तो तभी भी हमें signs दिखाई देते हैं which are observable. Mental health में हमें नहीं दिखाई देता because we are not even aware of it, and it is invisible in some sense. So we need to embrace it. We need to understand. We need to reflect more and be aware of it. Awareness हमें उससे ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए because it's invisible till the time that it actually boomerangs into a problem, and तब we go hang, मतलब हम बिल्कुल ही chaotic हो जाते हैं कि क्या करें क्या नहीं करें. सो साइंस उसके भी होते हैं, बट वो हम नोटिस नहीं करना चाहते, बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक वी गिव सो मच ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस टू इट.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. One last question, Professor Ritu. Where you are heading to? What is your goal? What is the vision that you carry in your mind? What wakes you up?
What wakes me up? Um, that's a very difficult question. I guess I live, okay. All right. So my mantra of life is that I'm living each day as it comes. All right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also somebody who does not carry the baggage.
Mm-hmm.
So what has happened yesterday, all right, is my past. Literally is my past. ठीक है, मैं ज्यादा
Mm-hmm.
फ्यूचर की तरफ भी ग्रेविटेट नहीं करती, बिकॉज फ्यूचर किसने देखा, हु सीन द फ्यूचर. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm living, I mean it, I'm living life in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I make decisions in the present moment. Of course, right or wrong depends on my gut or intuition, which is nothing but my wisdom. All right. But I think most importantly, I carry no grudges because my past is my past. So मैं उसको ढो नहीं रही हूँ. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
dragging my past into my present.
Okay. So you live in the present moment, you believe in the present, you believe in enjoying the life in the present moment as it is.
Yes.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Fantastic. It was a lovely conversation with you, Professor Ritu, and we got a lot of deep insights. And we are really grateful. I'm really grateful that you are working in this industry, working in this field, helping people out, helping students, helping parents. Thank you so much. Keep doing the great work. Wish you all the very best.
And thank you, Bobby, for having me. In fact, I think you also are doing a great work because you are the conduit, right? अगर आप नहीं होते तो शायद ये connection ही नहीं होता. तो आप में उतना ही जज्बा और उतना ही passion है to have reached out, not just to me, but people like me and much more, enriching people. So thank you to you and kudos to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.